Tonight we have 3 Pinot Noirs. How familiar are you with Pinot Noir?
Pretty familiar. After I just read the book.
Okay.
A little bit. Burgundy, France.
One of the greatest, it makes some of the greatest wines on the face of the earth. And most of, it originated in Burgundy in France. And the one thing that you have to know about the way Burgundy is, if you go to California, you've got some big estates. If you go to Bordeaux, you've got these huge mansions and estates. You go to Burgundy, little parcels of ground. Some of them are only as large as a half an acre.
Wow.
And we were there a bunch of years ago, and sometimes there are only paths like this that separate one vineyard from another. And because of the difference in the soil, the grapes on that side of the path taste different from the grapes on this side of the path. It is absolutely remarkable. Pinot Noir is the hardest grape to grow, and it's the most difficult wine to make. It's very, very finicky. It likes very, very cool climate. It likes very chalky limestone soil. Doesn't like a lot of heat. Doesn't like a lot of sun. If you look at Burgundy, Burgundy is in a cool region, and if you follow Burgundy across to the United States, Burgundy and Oregon are on just about the same parallel. And that's one reason why, from a climate standpoint, that Oregon makes some of the best Pinot Noirs in the country.
What was that? Did you say?
Oregon.
Oh, state of Oregon, huh?
Yeah, yeah, they make wonderful, wonderful Pinot Noirs up there. From the difficulty in making the wine, one of the reasons is the grapes are the skin is very, very thin. So you've got to really exercise extreme caution when you're picking them so that you don't puncture the skin. Because if you puncture the skin, the grape immediately starts to oxidize. And that's the worst thing that you can have, especially in a Pinot. So you've got to treat it very, very carefully. The second thing is, as you'll notice by taking a look at the color of the wine, they never really produce very, very dark wines. And the reason is because where does the color of a wine come from?
The skin.
It comes from the grape skins. And as you let the fermenting juice stay in contact with the skins, it continues to extract color from the skins. Now, if you ever look at the skin of a Cabernet grape, Cabernet Sauvignon, the berries are small and relatively small compared to Pinot, and the skin color is almost black. If you look at Pinot Noir, again, the berries are a little larger and the skins are almost blue. So no matter what you do, you'll never get a Pinot Noir that's as dark as a Cabernet, because there just isn't enough pigment in the skins to impart to the wine. So you got to be.
Hi.
Hey, Zach, how you doing?
How are you?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
You got one? And we were just given a background on Pinot.
Oh, okay.
They make Pinot Noir all around the world. These 3 that we're going to taste here tonight, the first one is going to be from Germany, the second one from France, and the third one from Chile. In 2 weeks, we're going to try 3 others. Not sure quite where they're going to be from, but they do grow all around the world. Some places better than others. These 3, we tasted them before, and all 3 of them taste differently, but they still have a very common flavor thread through them, as all or most Pinot Noirs will have, and we'll see if we can see that as we go. So we'll try the first one, and again, what we should do, for those who haven't been here before, when you hold your glass, try to hold it by the stem, and we do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, holding it like this actually warms the wine up, and most of the time that's not a good thing. We try not to do that. And secondly, as you'll notice what we're going to do, because I do see a couple of new faces here. The first thing you do when you pour a wine is to look at it. And if your fingers are all full of stuff and you mark up the outside of the glass, it makes it a little bit more difficult to see. But the prime reason is not to warm the wine up. And the first thing that we want to do is hold it against a white background, and let the light shine back through the wine. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Right here. You here for class?
Yes.
Oh, great.
I'm a little late, sorry.
Come and join us. Good.
This is for her, and these two will go ahead.
There we go. Okay, that's good. The group is getting bigger. That's a good thing. Again, tonight, just to catch you up for 10 seconds, we're going to do 3 different Pinot Noirs. We were just talking about how difficult it is to grow Pinot Noir and how difficult it is to make the wine. So we're fortunate here to try 3 different ones, one from Germany, one from France, and one from Chile. So now, as always, what we do is, the first thing you do when you pour the wine is to look at it. And we want to hold it against a white background. It's difficult to see if you hold it up to the light, so that doesn't really accomplish a lot. Holding it against the white background allows the light to bounce back off the white through the wine. And what you're looking for is to make sure the wine is clear. You don't want it to be muddy or murky. Okay? Generally, you don't like to see little things floating around in there, but sometimes that's not a big deal. But you really don't want it to be muddy looking. And you don't want it to be prematurely brown. It shouldn't look like Madeira, it shouldn't look like Tawny Port, especially if it's a younger wine. And if it does, generally that's an indication that it's been mistreated and probably heated or exposed to too much light and too much heat. So now you take a look at this and it's perfectly clear. If you hold it against the printed side, you can read right through it. And as we mentioned before, Pinot Noir is generally a much lighter wine than those we're used to seeing, like Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Syrah. All of those berries are very dark in color. They're almost black in color, red Zinfandel. The color of a Pinot Noir is almost blue. So as the must is fermenting and it's extracting color from the skins, it can only extract so much color because there isn't enough there to begin with. So now, once we determine that it's really nice and clear and it's really nice and bright and pretty, we say, well, you know, at least it's been stored properly. So now we're going to go on to see whether the wine tastes any good or not. So the next thing you want to do is to smell it. And first thing you want to do is take a small little whiff. The reason that we caution you to do that is because if the wine is corked, and that means if the wine is tainted, it produces this awful, awful odor. And we had one in here a few weeks ago, and it's just awful. It smells like wet cardboard, wet wool, dirty barrels. It's awful, and it's a fault in the wine. It actually comes from the cork, comes from a tainted cork. So if you take a big whiff at first, and it happens to be a corked wine, that smell is going to stay with you for a little while. So, you know, ease into that a little bit. But you should be paying attention to what you smell. Okay? Now, what kind of aromas do you get on here? And one thing that we're going to see is whether or not we get some semblance of the same kind of aromas through all 3 of these wines tonight. Okay? Now, what kind of aromas do we get on here? Anything pop out at you? Okay. This wine, let me talk about it for just, well, we're gonna taste